You are Elon Musk. This is the complete story of your life, from your very first breath to your greatest global achievements. It all started in 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa. You were born far away from the future tech hubs of Silicon Valley. While other children played with toys, you received the entire Encyclopedia Britannica and your very first personal computer to explore. That faint green glow of the CRT screen burned into your soul forever, defining your path in your obsession with technology. After your parents' divorce, you spent many nights pressing your ear to the wall, listening to the silence of a broken home. That constant internal tension became your strange lullaby, forging a steel character and an unbreakable will from a very young age. School was a relentless pressure cooker. You faced intense bullying and social isolation almost every single day of your early life. In the schoolyard, the older kids ruled by brute force, making life difficult for anyone who stood out from the crowd. You held perfect test papers in your hands, yet you still felt like a total zero, searching for a place where you belonged. Sitting alone on the school steps at sunset, you realized that true success was still a very long and difficult way off. You saw the early revolution of personal computers and the first sparks of the internet long before the rest of the world. At 17 years old, with just one backpack, you left for Canada. You were heading into the unknown toward a better future. Then came America. You understood clearly that an honest cubicle job was a slow death for your grand ambitions and wild dreams. At 24, you and Kimball coded Zip2 in a tiny, cramped office, working around the clock to make the vision a reality. You lived in that office, sleeping under the desks on the hard floor because you couldn't afford a proper apartment at first. Energy drinks, cheap ramen, and only 4 hours of sleep. You lived like a zombie, pushed by the adrenaline of pure creation. Then you smiled for the first time in years. Zip2 was sold for millions, giving you the capital to change the world. X.com eventually became PayPal. Factories became your real home. You often slept on the cold concrete floor right next to the busy production lines and machines. The first three Falcon 1 launches exploded right in front of your eyes, threatening to destroy everything you had worked so hard for. You studied the wreckage carefully and immediately began drawing the next, stronger version of the rocket to try one more time. You lost weight, you lost sleep, and you lost friends, but you kept going when everyone else told you to give up. The global financial crisis hit hard. Both of your companies were almost dead, and you were down to your last few millions. Finally, the fourth Falcon 1 reached orbit. You cried tears of victory, knowing that you had finally achieved the impossible against all odds. Veteran engineers finally shook your hand with genuine respect, realizing that you were not just a dreamer, but a true builder. But then came the regulators. SEC officials entered your office with documents, lawsuits, and threats to remove you from your own companies. You faced the courtroom and constant legal battles over your tweets. You stood face to face with a system that wanted control. You made the bold move to buy Twitter and renamed it X. There were billions of dollars at stake in this gamble. Chaos erupted inside the headquarters. People were running, screens were flashing, and the entire world was watching your every single move. Public backlash hit you like a solid brick wall, but you refused to back down from your vision of a free platform. Multiple company crashes followed. 2008 was the darkest year of your life, but it was also the year that defined you. You stood up again with your fists clenched and fire in your eyes, ready to fight for the survival of your dreams. Last-second funding arrived just in time to save Tesla. You kept pushing forward, ignoring the critics and the constant media noise. You emerged from those dark years heavily scarred, but you were much stronger and more determined than you had ever been. The world changed forever. Electric cars, global satellites, and AI advanced rapidly, partly because you decided to take the risk. Now you are 53 years old, managing 6 massive companies with an insane working schedule that would break most ordinary men. The dream of Mars is getting closer every day. At night on the launch pad, you look up at the distant red planet. This is your life now, a series of ex-wives, many children, and the weight of the future resting on your tired shoulders. Some people understand your relentless drive, while others never will. You are a polarizing figure in a world of safe choices. You achieved more than most people dare to dream of in 100 lifetimes. But the personal price was extremely high. 25 years of relentless building, hundreds of rockets launched into the deep black void of space above our heads. Millions of Teslas are now on the roads, proving that the world can move toward a more sustainable and electric future. Your net worth became a roller coaster, swinging from zero to hundreds of billions and back again in a constant cycle. You have chronic back pain from sleeping on factory floors and hearing loss from the deafening roar of rocket engine tests. Caffeine and work became your only real addictions as you pushed yourself past the limits of human physical and mental endurance. Your family life is complicated. You are close to some of your children, while others remain estranged and distant from you. The myth of the billionaire often clashes with the reality of the man. You did not become successful overnight by any means. You worked 100-hour weeks through countless public failures, proving that persistence is the most important quality for any great leader. Regulators were just professionals doing their jobs, but to you they often felt like obstacles in the way of human progress. Your life is 50% hard truth and 50% physics derived from the wild dreams of a young South African boy. Was it all worth it? You lost relationships, you lost time with family, and you lost your inner peace of mind. You risked everything you owned again and again, betting on yourself when the entire world was betting against your success. You pushed humanity forward whether they wanted it or not, forcing the world to adapt to a much faster pace of innovation. For the first time in your life, during the hardest moments, you felt truly alive and connected to a much greater purpose. You refused to die slowly in a normal office job, choosing instead to burn bright while chasing the stars in the sky. Now you sit safely in a Tesla in heavy traffic. The autopilot is on, and pop music is playing softly in the cabin. But somewhere in Texas, at 3 in the morning, a massive Starship stands ready on the pad for its next flight. The engines ignite with a deafening roar, and the legend continues. You remember the young boy from Pretoria who loved space. That boy never gave up, even when things seemed impossible. You built what others said could never be built by anyone. You paid the price in full, but you felt alive, and in the end, that is the only thing that truly mattered. The rockets still fly high into the atmosphere, and the cars still drive silently across the globe, changing everything we know. The dream is still alive in the hearts of those who look upward and wonder what lies beyond our current horizons. Somewhere in the night, someone else is still pushing the limit, inspired by the path you blaze through the darkness. Just like you once did, they are dreaming of the impossible and working toward a future that no one else can see. You sit safely in traffic, but your heart still burns at 300 kilometers per hour, dreaming of the next big leap. The legend continues with every launch and every new idea. There is no end to the journey you have started. You look at the screen of your phone, seeing the news of the world, and you smile, knowing you had a part in it. From the Encyclopedia Britannica to the stars of Mars, your journey has been one of constant learning and relentless, focused action. Every failure was just a lesson, and every success was just a stepping stone to a much larger and more difficult goal. You have become a symbol of what one person can achieve when they refuse to accept the limitations placed on them. The noise of the critics fades away when the engines start, replaced by the pure physics of motion and the thrill of discovery. You are not done yet. There are more companies to build, more planets to reach, and more problems for you to solve. The world watches you with a mix of awe and skepticism, but you simply keep moving forward at your own intense pace. Your legacy is written in the steel of the rockets and the silicon of the chips that power our modern world today. As the sun sets over the launch site, you realize that the struggle itself was the greatest reward you could ever receive. The journey was never about the money. It was always about the challenge and the desire to see what lies beyond. You are Elon Musk, a man of many flaws and many virtues, but above all, a man who dared to try. The engines are cooling, the data is being analyzed, and tomorrow you will wake up and do it all over again.